I thought today I would go over some of my favorite tips on getting a straighter body handstand position, and it is more of a flexibility type thing. So basically what we're thinking of is, how is your handstand going to be straight if your actual body parts don't do that under any circumstances, is the issue. So you can see why, if you're trying to achieve a handstand position while you're trying to balance yourself on your hands and do whatever else you might be doing at gymnastics, if your body just doesn't go there, it's just not going to happen, and you're going to be very frustrated by that, and it's going to really affect your skills too. So I have a little series for you today where you can work on that, and having the extra time at home right now can be a great time to work on little things like this that really will pay off quite a bit. So the first thing I need you to do is find a place where you can lay on the floor with your hands against a wall. So what we're going to do, right on your stomach, you're going to place your hands against the wall. I'm actually using a beam right now, but a wall is really best because your fingers, I do want your fingers to be part of this too. I just don't have anywhere to put my beam, so that's my excuse. But anyway, we're going to lie down, and what I'd like you to do is extend your chin forward so that you're able to see your hands, because usually when we're holding a handstand, we're going to do that head position. So you're basically just looking at your fingers with your eyes, but your head isn't sticking way up. What you're going to do next is squeeze your butt, squeeze your abs, squeeze your heels together. So you're trying now to press your armpits into the floor and press your hips flat against the floor. Feel which muscles are working for you. It's usually more glute and rear shoulder than anything, which is kind of funny because we don't always think of those areas as what helps our handstand. So that was basically your test to see where you're at right now. And if you have someone take a picture, or you take a picture of yourself doing it, you can actually look at it and see if your area is tighter on your armpits or maybe your hips. So there's just things that are easier to see than to feel sometimes, especially when we're used to doing it the way we always do it. All right, so that's your check-in test. Now, hip flexors are really, really big. So we're going to target those first, and especially if you feel that your glutes had to really squeeze to get your hips flat, you want to stretch out your hip flexors. So I'm just going to do a basic knees together. I'm going to go back onto my elbow. Now, the reason I have the knees together is because when you do your handstand, you're going to want your knees together. And you can certainly go all the way down to your back. However, I don't necessarily like that for most people because it just causes people to arch. So what I'm doing here is I'm actually holding myself up with my elbow. I'm engaging my abs and pushing my low back just a little bit flatter. And I'm trying to work my way where my low back gets closer to the floor, but I don't necessarily want to twist my shoulders to do it. So as you saw, when I just dropped my shoulder down, I basically twisted away from my pelvis, and I'd rather for this that you keep your pelvis with your body. So depending on how open your body is, you might be, it would be extremely shocking if somebody could do this and keep their low back on the ground. But, one of you guys or several of you might be able to do that. But for most people, you're going to be up a little bit more like this. Now let's switch sides and check the other side. So your knees are close. You're squeezing your glute of the leg that you're stretching. And then just seeing if you can work that low back a bit closer to the floor. So tight quads are very common with gymnastics because of all the running and jumping and everything. So we just have to make sure that we're taking care of that and working on the flexibility of it as well, which is going to help too with just your knee and ankle health and your leap ability and all of that too. So it's all good. It will all add together to make you a better gymnast. So it's very rare in gymnastics that we work on one thing and it doesn't affect something else. So it's kind of cool in that way. All right, so that's our hip flexor. Next, we're going to do a cat stretch, making sure that we keep our abs super tight. So you're going to place your elbows up on something. We're going to do palms down. Our couch is a good height, approximately. So now we're pushing down, pushing through the armpits towards the floor. The only thing is I don't want you guys arching your back. I want the back to stay flat, because when we're doing our handstand, we don't want an excessive arch in that lower back. It's one thing to have a little bit of natural curve, which everyone really has, but we don't want it to be accentuated. So what happens when your shoulders are really tight is your back will arch extra to make it all work.
So we don't really necessarily need to encourage that because most gymnasts already have a pretty archy lower back. So we're trying to make sure we're targeting those shoulders. So I'm keeping my abs really tight. I'm looking straight at the floor. The goal isn't really to put your head below your arms. I mean, possibly it will go there, but it's much more important that you keep your back as flat as you can by engaging your abs.
So that's basically just a cat stretch with your abs engaged. The next one's going to be, I call it the stick lat stretch, and I actually don't have a stick right here handy, but I'm gonna do the foam roller. Anything you can hold under grip is fine and good for this. So what you'll do, go back to your, whatever you had your elbows on, you're gonna keep them as close as you can get them. They're going to separate as you do the stretch, so be prepared for that. But if you start out with them close, it's better. Now I'm walking my hips back. This one, your head's going to stay up for this, but what we're doing is we're really targeting the lats here, and those are the #1 reason why people have trouble opening up their shoulder angle in their handstands. So now what I'm gonna have you do is bend your arms more, put the stick or roller towards your head, and then you're going to come down. And when I do home workouts with people, I oftentimes have them hold the remote control because that's usually a pretty good length and you can grab it pretty easily. A ruler can work. This is a little bit awkward, honestly, to use, but so you're coming down and then up. You can hold it a couple seconds at each position. Spend most of your time though on the bottom because that's where you're getting the good stretch. And you can just hold this one too, but I find some of the stretches do a little bit better when you pulse it and you come in and out of it, and everyone's different too, so you might find that you do better with the pulses. Someone else might do better with 30-second hold. And there's one more option you can do too, which is contract and relax. So what you can do for that is I'm actually pushing into the mat with my elbows to contract for about 5 seconds, and then I'm going to stop pushing and relax and then open. So that method can really be used for any of these stretches. You do it again, contract and relax. And again, it's really a matter of finding what your body needs. My body does really well with contract, relax, and I'll watch my body basically melting through it, and it just, every time I contract, relax, it gets lower, and that's awesome. So, I mean, you play around with it and see, because that's a totally valid method, and for a lot of people, it's very effective. And also, if you're one of those people that tend to get crampy when you hold stretches or it just really hurts, you might be better off doing the contract relax. So play around with it. So next one, we're gonna go back to the hips for a bit here. So there's a psoas on the floor stretch that I really, really like. And it's, I mean, I honestly don't know who first did this one, but I came up with it one day and I've really continued to like it. So what you're gonna do is you're starting on your hands and knees. You're gonna extend your right leg back. Probably go this way to show you guys. So right leg is back, left leg is out to the side. You can see my hands are sort of staggered. And what I'm doing now is I'm squeezing my right glute and pushing my hip towards the floor as I'm slightly twisted to the left. So when you do it right, you're gonna feel a pulling from your pelvis up toward your rib cage basically on that right side. And it might take a little bit of wiggling around to find it. You'll know when you're there though. So you're gonna hold that with some nice deep breaths into the area. So breathe in, send it to that area of your body, and then breathe out the tension. So this is a muscle that we're targeting, the psoas muscle, that if it's tight, it's going to make your handstand really, really difficult to be square and balanced. All right, so we can try the other side. So again, straightening my left leg, right knee is just kind of out of the way. My hands are a little bit staggered to just allow me to support my body without too much effort. And I'm thinking of pushing this left hip gradually towards the floor, but without coming away from the intensity of the stretch. You can play around with your contract, relax here. So contract, press your knee down into the floor, hold for about 5 seconds, and then let it all go, let your body sink down. And contract. And relax. The other nice thing about contract relax is you actually work the strength of your muscles while you're holding the stretch. So if you think about it, if you're gonna ask your body to do a split leap, say, but you can't actually control your limbs in that position, your body, number one, probably won't let you make the 180 because it's going to sense that you could get injured. You're not strong enough to deal with those positions. You can come on out of that one. That was plenty there. So if you actually contract your muscles in the positions, you're going to give your body that message that, hey, I can actually control these ranges of motion, and it will make you more effective when you go to try to hit the positions in your gymnastics. So it does carry over nicely to do the contract relax. All right, so then we're going to do another one that is actually psoas and lat together, which I really love. And let me just see here. I'm gonna do my feet this way for you. So what you're gonna do is on your back, you have a glute bridge type setup with your feet flat and your knees up. All right, so listen real close because this one can get a little confusing. So we're gonna lift the hips up, so that just the hips are off the floor. Move your hips to the right a few inches. Place them down exactly straight down, but don't move your feet. Now, straighten your right leg right in front of you. And the left leg's gonna cross over the right leg. Oh guys, I just messed up. I'm so sorry. Rewind. See, I told you it was complicated. All right, so you're on your back. You're gonna lift your hips up. You're gonna move them to the left. Place them down. You're going to straighten your right leg straight out in front. Straighten your left leg so that it comes to meet the right. And we're going to cross the right over the left. So now we're clamping down the left leg. You're going to put your arms over your head. You're going to grab your left wrist with your right hand. All right, so left wrist with right hand. Now we're going to pull the body to the side. So now I'm forming a half moon shape with my body, and it's curved so that my left side is open. I do want your arms resting on the ground, but I do want it to be active. So think of almost pulling lightly your left shoulder out of its socket. I know that sounds a little crazy, but you guys know what I'm saying. Just enough that you're getting the stretch, but you're not ripping anything apart, because nobody needs that. Now this one, once you're set up in it, I first saw this in a yin yoga setting, and I think the group held it for 5 minutes. I mean, there's no rules anymore, right? So, but you know, yin yoga, I'm not a yoga instructor, I'm not gonna really go there, but my point is that you can hold it for 5 minutes would be not unreasonable, but I usually just do it for a minute because yin yoga is a different animal and not everybody likes that or knows how to do that properly. So what we're gonna do now is come out of that and switch to the next side. So you're gonna lift your hips up and move them to the right, place them down. Straighten your left leg straight in front of you and straighten your right leg. Now we're gonna clamp the right leg with the left foot. Now my weight of my left leg is just holding my right leg down. I'm gonna grab my right wrist with my left hand and pull my body to the other side. So now I'm opening up my right side. Now, if you notice one of your sides is way looser than the other, then you have a pretty good answer as to why you might have trouble with your handstand balancing, because the whole time you're holding your handstand, you're fighting against that asymmetry. So any of these one-sided things can be really insightful if you notice there's a big difference. And you can always do the weaker side or the stiffer side a couple of extra sets, or even just do that side for a bit and leave the other side alone to help even yourself out a little bit more. Because again, we're trying to get your body to be able to hold a handstand with the least effort possible. And if you're fighting against muscle tension, it's just going to be so much extra work, and it's going to be constantly a fight as opposed to something that you can just settle into and enjoy. So again, about a minute here will be good for our purposes. And we can come out of that one, untwist yourself. Next one, we're going to work the thoracic spine, and the thoracic spine is going to be one of the main troublesome spots for your handstand. Our thoracic spine attaches to our ribs, and it needs to be really solid. However, the tension that develops there can prevent us from getting a really nice handstand shape. So this will help with that area and also help with chest muscle, which can be part of the tightness. So all of our chest muscles that we use for tumbling and vaulting and bars and all of that, that can get in the way a little bit when we're trying to hit a great handstand. So you're gonna lie on a roller the long way. If you don't have a super long one, you can just hold your hips in the air. I would prefer that your head is supported, so if you can maybe add some pillows or a yoga block, if you have a short roller, you can put that under your head, because I just don't want your neck overly stretched during this entire thing here. So from here, we can put the arms up to the sides. You're just letting your elbows bend.
I notice a lot of people, their arms are too high and they're way up above their head. Not really what we want for this particular stretch, so keep them. Think of your hands as going directly up from your shoulders. And just hold that. And we're gonna hold this one for about a minute as well. So this one too will expose if you've got one tighter side. Just let it relax, let gravity do the work for you.
Yeah. Well,
Next, you can interlace your fingers behind your neck.
I wouldn't worry about that.
And you're letting your elbows relax towards the ground. And this is a good opportunity to do contract relax as well. So what you can do is tense your elbows and bring them a little bit up towards the ceiling. And then you can relax. And go ahead and do that again. So tense, hold for 5 seconds.
Absolutely.
And then relax it back down. And you're trying to keep your lower back fairly neutral here. It doesn't have to touch the roller, but you also don't want it popping up when your elbows drop down. So check in when you lift your elbows up and tense. And then when you let your elbows come down, did your lower back just pop right up? And if it did, make sure you keep your abs engaged so that that lower back stays out of the picture here. Let's do another 2 of those. So that's a little bit of active chest work and a thoracic opener as well for you. And we're going to target wrists next. Wrist can be a big limiter for handstands. So, especially if you work a lot with the tiger paws. If you have the ability to do handstands without tiger paws, do it. Even if it's just your warm-ups and then you put them on for skills, it's fine. But you really want to just work that 90-degree wrist range of motion as much as you can. I get it. I've had wrist troubles in the past and I just had to use my tiger paws, and if you have to, you have to. But if you have the ability to do some handstand work without them, or even push-up work, so you could get into a push-up, okay? Now, you might not be in a full handstand, but if you can even get into a push-up position without your tiger paws, that little amount will help you. But moving forward anyway with this particular series, let's do the wrist stretches. So we're gonna put the fingers backwards, and we're gonna rock the hips back. Now this will be a little bit deeper if you have your wrists closer together, but if you're new to it, you might wanna go a little bit wider. But regardless of which way you're doing it, you wanna sink your hips back towards your heels. And I find I get a good stretch when I'm about 6 inches apart. For this, we do want the elbows straight. You don't have to lock them, but they shouldn't be bent. So we're just working the fingertips back toward the forearm type range of motion here. And this is going to be helpful too. If you found that you could lie flat on the floor, but you couldn't get your fingers up the wall, this one is one that you would really need. About 30 seconds there. And all of our grip work on bars and conditioning, the grip can get really, really strong, but it gets tight. So this is really good if you find that your arms are kind of overworked and your handstand is suffering for it. All right, so last one we'll work today is the capsule stretch for your shoulder. So what you'll do is lift your arm up, bring it straight across your body. I like to just take my other forearm and use it to pull. Now, one of the problems I'll see with this a lot is people go like this. So they are shrugging way up high. You don't want to do that. You want to keep your shoulders even. And from the side, we want it to be that you're basically bringing your elbow in toward the other shoulder, is the thought. So instead of letting everything twist this way, we're bringing the right shoulder forward as we bring the left arm back. And it's also important that you have your palm facing directly back. And other side. And if you want to hold your forearm, fine. I find that this method that I'm doing with my hand up works great, but it doesn't really matter. Whatever's comfortable is fine. So you're bringing that arm across. About 20 seconds for this one is pretty good. And again, if you have one shoulder that's tighter, spend some extra time on that. All right, so that's your 8 stretches that will help your handstand shape.
What I'd like you to do next is go back on over to your face down test against the wall and see how you did. If your handstand shape feels better, great, you can keep these stretches in your routine. What you can do also to help while the muscle memory is ingrained is you can practice your handstands right now. So I'd like everyone to try 5 of your best handstands, and the exact muscles that you squeezed in your test with your hands against the wall are the muscles that you want to think of as you try to go and hold your handstands. Don't be surprised if it is harder to do your handstand with this better shape, but practice makes perfect.